Good morning, children. Our today's topic is urine formation, or you can say the physiology of excretion. Okay, so first of all, here it is been given that there are three main processes involved in the process of formation of urine. The first process is glomerular filtration, second is reabsorption, and third is tubular secretion. Not only secretion, it is tubular secretion. So now first of all, here you can put the heading glomerular filtration. This paragraph is about the glomerular filtration. Okay, so what is glomerulus, which is being shown here? That branch of the renal artery which divides further and forms the afferent arteriole, and this afferent arteriole further divides repeatedly to form the network of capillaries that is called as glomerulus. This glomerulus is actually present in this cup shaped structure of the nephron that is called as Bowman's capsule. Okay, so the filtration of the blood brought by the afferent arteriole, which is a branch of the renal artery, is that filtration actually being performed by the glomerulus, that is the network of capillaries. Now, about 1100 to 1200 milliliter of blood is filtered by the nephrons per minute. Nephrons, all the nephrons of both the kidneys. Okay, that means 1100 to 1200 milliliter of blood is passes through the kidney. That is 1/5 of the total blood pumped by the ventricle. But out of this, only 125 milliliter per minute is filtered, that is called as glomerular filtrate, or you can say the nephric filtrate, and this process of filtration is called as glomerular filtration, and this filtrate which is being filtered out from this glomerulus is called as nephric filtrate, ultrafiltrate, or glomerular filtrate. Okay, and that is 125 milliliter per minute, and that can be 180 liter per day. Again I am repeating, 1100 to 1200 milliliter blood passes through the kidney per minute, but out of that only 125 milliliter blood get filter per minute, and it becomes glomerular filtrate or the ultrafiltrate or capsular filtrate or nephric filtrate, as many names are there. Now, why do this filtration actually takes place? What is the pressure responsible for that? That pressure is actually present in the capillaries. The diameter of the afferent arteriole is more than the diameter of the efferent arteriole, so that a pressure is maintained in the glomerular capillaries. Due to that pressure only, the filtration takes place. Now, this filtration takes place through how many layers? The layer of the endothelium of the blood vessels, which are lying on the basement membrane, and this green layer is actually representing the layer of the Bowman's capsule. So this is the epithelial cells of the Bowman's capsule in green color, and this is the epithelial cells of the blood vessel, and in between these two the basement layer, because epithelial tissue always lies on the basement membrane. So endothelium of the blood vessel and epithelium of the Bowman's capsule and the basement membrane. So these are the three layers including basement membrane. These are the two layers as they have written, because the endothelium and the epithelium of the Bowman's capsule and the basement membrane is there. Okay, so we can say two layer including basement and basement membrane. Now these epithelial cells of the Bowman's capsule are actually having the podocytes. These cells of the epithelial cells of the Bowman's capsule are actually called as podocytes. These podocyte cells are arranged in an intricate manner, and they have some minute spaces which are called as pores or filtration slits or slit pores, they are called as, through which the process of filtration takes place. So once the blood gets filtered through this glomerulus, so other than the protein, rest of the protein doesn't pass through this glomerulus, but all other constituents of the plasma except the protein pass into the lumen of the Bowman's capsule. That means only protein will left here in the glomerulus, and rest of the constituents of the blood which are present in blood plasma will become the glomerular filtrate, ultrafiltrate, capsular filtrate or nephric filtrate. So this is all about the ultrafiltration. Okay. Now this glomerular filtration, as I have told you earlier, is approximately 125 milliliter per minute, that is 180 liter per day. Now here they have given that this glomerular filtrate can be maintained by some special cells which are called as juxtaglomerular apparatus. These sensitive cells are actually present in the distal convoluted tubule and also the efferent arteriole where it is in contact with the glomerulus. So there only these juxtaglomerular sensitive cells are present. These cells release renin which can stimulate the glomerular blood flow, and then glomerular filtration rate can come to the normal if the filtration rate has got reduced. If efficient filtration is not taking place, at that time these juxtaglomerular cell will get stimulated to secrete renin, which will bring the glomerular filtration rate back to the normal. Now here coming the second step of the urine formation, that is selective reabsorption. The definition of selective reabsorption I have written here. So this is what it is: the process by which only useful substances are reabsorbed from the nephric filtrate into the peritubular blood capillaries, and this is called as selective reabsorption. Selective reabsorption is actually required to maintain the homeostasis and the volume and the electrolyte balance of the blood. In fact, composition and pH and osmotic pressure of the blood is also kept constant due to selective reabsorption only. Now we are again coming back to the here only in this paragraph. Here they have also mentioned that the volume of the filtrate, they are introducing it, that at about 180 liter of the blood is filtered as and becomes the glomerular filtrate, but only the urine which is formed is 1.5 liter per day. So that means the maximum amount of the filtrate is reabsorbed in the peritubular capillaries, okay, from the renal tubule. So this process is called as reabsorption. And tubular epithelial cell in different segments of the nephron perform the active and passive mechanism of absorption. Of what? Of glucose, of amino acid and of sodium ions. It also absorbs some of the nitrogenous waste material which are being absorbed passively. Glucose, amino acid and sodium ions are absorbed actively. Okay. Now the third step is tubular secretion. Okay. Because in the glomerular filtrate, here one thing again which I want to mention, that this glomerular filtrate actually consists of water, vitamin C, glucose, amino acid, sodium ions, potassium ions, chloride ions and many other constituents which are to be reabsorbed. So this is useful substances which are present in the glomerular filtrate are reabsorbed by this process, active and passive transport. Now here coming the third step, that is tubular secretion. Tubular secretion also I have defined here at the back only, that tubular secretion is a highly selective process by which the glandular cells of the nephron especially cells of the PCT and DCT, extract the waste like uric acid, creatinine, hippuric acid, potassium, hydrogen ion, ammonia from the peritubular capillaries by the active transport and secrete them in the nephric filtrate. That means here the tubule is not absorbing anything, rather it is absorbing the material, waste material, ammonia, hippuric acid, creatinine, potassium ions from the peritubular capillaries into the nephric filtrate with the help of the glandular cells. In the book, same is written, during the urine formation, the tubular cells secrete substances. Secrete means actually their glandular cells takes these material from the peritubular capillaries and then secrete them into the nephric filtrate, like hydrogen and potassium ion and ammonia into the filtrate from the peritubular capillaries by the active transport and secrete them into the nephric filtrate. This is to be added here. Tubular secretion is also an important step in the formation and it helps in the maintenance of ionic balance, acid balance of the body fluids. Okay, so these all three steps are completed. Now to complete all these three steps, what is the function of various part of the nephron? Function of the proximal convoluted tubule. Here in paragraph I have written this in point that in PCT sodium ion and potassium ion are actively absorbed in the peritubular capillaries. Chloride ions are also absorbed passively. Water is absorbed by osmosis. Bicarbonates are there to maintain the electrolyte balance. Urea is absorbed by the process of diffusion passively. Glucose and amino acid are absorbed actively. This is the function of this PCT, which is here it is written that through the PCT 90% of bicarbonate ions are absorbed, 70% sodium and almost all glucose, which is nutrient, and 75% amino acid. Similarly, the 75% the potassium ions are absorbed. Okay, and secretion of hydrogen ion, ammonia and potassium ion also takes place. This is tubular secretion by the from the peritubular blood to the nephric filtrate. Here the secretion is also taking place. This is the function of PCT. Now the loop of Henle. Loop of Henle has two branches. This is the descending branch and ascending branch. So descending loop of Henle is permeable to water. So water is being absorbed into the peritubular network by the process of osmosis only. Sodium ion, here it is written in outer medulla. There is a higher concentration of sodium ion and urea in the interstitial fluid so that it maintains the higher osmotic pressure. Therefore, the water which is more in the nephric filtrate move from its higher concentration to its lower concentration because here condition is hypertonic in the interstitial fluid. So that water will move out from the nephric